Yay. Okay, it's a very beautiful and wonderful day here in the city. It's not cold at all. I'm not freezing. Rekha didn't just tell me to come outside and do this introduction, but you know what? Here we are. As always, my name is Gabby. I am the G in On Location with RG, and today we're at one of my favorite places, the Little Wolf. So we're going to go inside very soon because it's freezing, and we are going to talk to one of the amazing owners of Little Wolf and let you folks know all about this awesome place. So come on in. Sweet. We are inside. I am joined today by Shaun. Shaun, how's it going? How you doing?
It's going great, man.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Good.
This will be good. It'll be super fun. At least it's not cold and you have to stand inside and make an introduction about this place, but that's okay. Why get those instructions ahead of time so I can wear my sweater? But we are here at the Little Wolf. Now, before we get started, I have a little conspiracy theory I have that I want you to answer for me. Formerly, unbeknownst to many of the viewers at home, this place used to be called the Three Boars. Is it called the Little Wolf because it's a play on the Three Little Pigs?
Exactly, it is.
Oh, yes! Nailed it.
Totally.
Woo.
Yeah, I really loved what Three Boars was, and I was here for a little bit. I mean, it had been here for 12 years, so it'd become a staple of like my growing up in Edmonton. But I think shoulders of giants, right? Like if you can give some props to the people who paved the way for you to do something, and what Three Boars kind of captured in Edmonton was unlike anything else at the time. So I just wanted to build on that and try to, update it for the times and improve it where I could, and to me, just like continue to give the hospitality that it gave to the city in this Garneau area before.
So can we just pause for a second?
Yeah.
You just need to reset your a little bit, check.
Say you, say me. I mean, thankfully I didn't get too far, so I can definitely... Yeah? We're Gucci. We're back. All right, folks, sorry about that. Little technical difficulties trying to make this live, but sometimes, powers that be. But you were saying that you wanted this place to continue being amazing because its predecessors were wonderful. What does it mean to you to have such a place in the Edmonton community?
I mean, it's specifically in this area of town, especially in Garneau, there was no other space that was as industry driven, which during COVID that made it a canary in a coal mine. But the fact that it was always had like late night food and drink, it was always exciting stuff. So the other people in the restaurant industry, like myself at the time, would come here to see what was exciting and new, as well as a place that you could get something to eat after 11 p.m. when everything else is shutting down. Especially now, restaurants are closing earlier and people are trying to kind of maximize what they can and then close up shop for the evening. But that leaves us, the people that work in the restaurants, with not a lot of places to go unless we want fast food or a shawarma. And there's nothing wrong with those types of food, but...
Good, there shouldn't be. But
yeah, right? I love them. There are times when you just want to sit somewhere else or be somewhere else. For the regular public, that's like if everything's shut at 5 p.m. when you guys finish work, it would be like that. So for the people that are leaving at 11 p.m. or 10:30 at night, I just wanted to have a space that gave me the same kind of comfort to just like come in and be part of a clubhouse. Like we're a small wooden interior. It's just a cozy spot. So I just wanted to continue that.
No, that's wonderful. I mean, I remember, and I know I'm talking about the predecessors, and I'll stop. But this place was super warm. I continually had stuff that I was showing at the Garneau Theater, and once we were done there, we're like, where are we gonna go? And it was here because it was so cozy. It was always so busy because everyone just knew the spot, loved the spot, was so impressed by it, and it was the go-to place. And like you said, it did feel like a clubhouse because if you dropped the name and people went huh? They're like, we have to take you there now because you can't not know this place. Yeah, it's amazing. You said that you were in the restaurant industry. When did you kind of get started with that? Was it with Three Boars or before
So to date myself, I helped open the Sugar Bowl.
Wow.
Maybe like 21, 22 years ago.
So like this entire strip is basically you?
Exactly.
Wow,
So,
okay.
So I helped carry the first like big ovens into there when they switched from just doing cinnamon buns and pastries to like a full-fledged kitchen. They called me Sugar Bowl Shaun back then.
Wow. Sugar Bowl Shaun it is.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay,
so I would do brunch there and work there, and then I would head over sometimes in the evenings on Fridays and Saturdays to Savoy on the far corner of White Avenue, which was like a kind of bar with food that did martinis and stuff like that way back in the day. So I started there, and then after that I left town, traveled around, went to Vancouver, Calgary for a number of years, a little bit of Montreal, and then back again to Vancouver, and then I came back for the Enjoy Center, the big giant space they were building in St. Albert. Worked there, opened that kitchen, did a great time being back in Edmonton. It felt like really like home. My family's from here, so it was nice to catch up with them. And then after that, I went traveling for a bit and came back and ran the bar Woodwork. So,
wow. That's actually like a very impressive resume for the folks that don't know. This is like,
it's all driven by loving to eat and drink, like 110%. Like for me, the excitement still is like, what can I eat and drink and how good can it be? Rather than like, I don't need any accolades other than like my tummy being happy with me in that kind of sense. So
I mean, that's always impressive. So I have to then ask, because so many folks, every time we like interview them and begin with them, was this something that you knew you wanted to get into like when you were young? Or was it like, oh, it's a passion, and then later on in life you're like, you know what, I'm always drawn back to it, let me just go and do it?
It's true, both in fact. Like I've always loved doing it. For me, the genuine sense of hospitality, of like sharing food with anybody, whether it's at my house or here, is like an incredible joy. To be able to pair that with being able to be financially sustainable as a business, that's the part where like things start getting like, a lot more technical. And to me, I enjoy the flow and the kind of like challenge of making food that works, where people can have something to eat. I can share food with them that I'm really excited about, and it's not like crazy prohibitive for people to come and enjoy the food with me, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense, because like, yeah, it's always interesting, like you hit the nail on the head. Sometimes you have wonderful passions, but I imagine that like one of the things that you probably didn't enjoy learning and doing, just like I didn't for the arts, was the business side of it, where they're like, taxes and things to write off and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I don't care about any of this, I just want to create things. And they're like, well, you have to, because otherwise someone will come knocking and say,
exactly,
what are you doing?
Yeah, like you need to know those things if you want to be solvent. Like it's just a no-brainer. It's not my favorite part of it. I'd much rather be like, searing something and tasting it and being like, that's perfect, rather than like submitting some kind of form or Excel spreadsheet and being like, oh, sweet, look at this, I just made this killer
rate this
formula.
off? No, great, fantastic.
Yeah,
we'll call
but
it a day.
as the years have gone on, because it's been a while for me now, it gets more and more fun because I associate it now with continued business, and also like, what can I do? What's a creative way for me to make the dollars make sense, kind of things? Yeah.
No, 100%. So I'm going to ask you, like, for the folks kind of getting into this industry, what would be kind of like your top 3 things of like, no one's really going to tell you this, you're going to learn it the hard way? What would be those kind of lessons that you kind of like had to learn and evolve from?
Oh man, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, one is that it's grueling. Like, you need to really love the work. It'll take a lot of hours. It's always that like continued pressure and search for work-life balance, which isn't a bad thing, but you need to be on top of it. Understanding why and why you're doing it. Like, to me, like, do you want to be known as a great chef, or do you want your food to be good? Like, there's so many things that like you don't think of a big picture in that sort of sense. And even when you're starting, like, why am I doing this? And the constant reminder and like finding that inner kind of like flame or passion or whatever is teaching you to do it, being able to like center on that and build your space around it, like how you work needs to be around that like kind of central idea for yourself, so that you can actually continuously not be like resentful that you're in a job like this, or not be like, well, I could get paid more doing something else, but like if you love it, like that part takes care of itself. Those would be two things. And then eating, like your brain is a library for flavor, and to this day I still will go to any ethnic store in the city and grab something off the shelf, the less English the better, and just continue to try things that you don't understand or you don't know what they are, because later they'll fit somewhere in one of the puzzles you're making that might be like a dish or food or just a way of understanding something. And from that, like, you can go anywhere. It's so much different than just trying to replicate something that you see every day. When I see, we have great burger places in the city or something like that, or pizza. There's so many different places like that now. But when you do something and you have a vision of what you want to make, you have to understand why you want to do it and what you're saying with it. Like, if you're not going to beat those other people at their own game, and you don't truly believe that you're not better or different enough and still better than them, then to me it's like you need to be doing something in this industry and cooking something that you really believe in, and that's going to like take you to the next level, I think.
Okay, so there's what I picked up from there is that there is a sense of like, you do have to believe in yourself. You do have to believe what you're presenting is the best thing out there, but also like with humility and humbleness, and not like I'm the best thing ever and no one can topple me. So you had said that you experiment a lot with different flavors, and kind of like the more unknown a herb, spice, or anything is, the better it is for you. I understand that the menu here is ever shifting. So is that experimentation what kind of drove you to kind of have like new and revolving items rather than have like a very set, like you're getting this menu every day?
I mean, in a lot of ways that works. The place I was running before was La Petite Isa, the French restaurant just down the street here, and it was great. It was, I could say tropey, but like in a really good way. Like you don't need to improve on like beef tartare or these classic French dishes that someone took 400 years to like perfect to where we have it now. Like, that's good. It's good. You don't need to change those things, and there is a beauty in that kind of food. But Three Boars before me was always like, revolving their menu, changing things. And for us in the industry, that was always exciting to see. Like, every time you come in, it's a new page, and you're like, what's happening next, kind of thing. Like, what is going to be on the menu? And to me, that was like, part of the excitement of it. And knowing that I would be taking over this space, and I would be cooking for, hopefully a long time here. I wanted it to be sustainable in the sense of like what the work meant to me, and the way that I cook at home is the way that I cook here, and that's using a lot of ingredients from the different ethnic stores in the city, finding things that are like affordable for me, because I'm poor as the rest of everybody else. And so it's good to like make your dollars count for something. Mm-hmm. So I've always just been excited Edmonton is such a crazy like mosaic here that you can find almost anything. Like, there's so many cultures, so much different food, and if you take the time to look through those things, a lot of them you can find are, a lot cheaper than going to like a regular grocery store, because they come from a country or a space where people just inherently didn't have that kind of money to spend on food. So rather than processed stuff, you're getting like kind of foreign ingredients or sauces or things like that are both exciting and play the role of like a vinegar or like a sweet, but also have so many different other added elements. And to me, that's like such an exciting thing to see. And I thought if I cooked the same way I cooked at home here, I wouldn't get sick of it, because it's true to me, if that makes sense. And so we have a couple things that we have on the menu kind of constantly since we've opened. It's only been a couple months, but I'm still perfecting focaccia and things like that. And I want to spend time with it. I don't want to get rid of it that soon. But the other things that we do, we'll go to the stores and see what we can get, so that the food here can be cheaper for us to sell to people, mm-hmm. so they can try more things. thus fueling my creativity and my ability to like continue to try new things. So we have this kind of like amazing circle of life where I get to continuously be creative. We get to share that food with other people, and they're happy and come back again because there's something else that's coming down the pipe. So yeah, I guess the food here is always changing. We do like to have a lot of vegetarian things as well as meat, but just dishes that speak for themselves on their own. And basically someone can come in here, have a drink, have a snack, or come and have a full meal with 12 items on the table and really
the whole
ball
deal.
out. But everything's kind of made in a sharing kind of space, or small plates so that you can try more food without getting a giant 32-ounce steak and then hitting a wall halfway through and
I'm done. Yeah, please.
Third of the way through, you're tired of it. You're like, oh man, this is delicious, but I also ate so much of one thing that I'm getting tired of it. And so it's just a nice way to keep people in a space where they're excited by every bite they have.
So then I have to ask, how important is it to you to are you always striving to shop local and source your kind of produce and veggies and everything locally? Is it kind of harder to do? Has the prices and inflation really impacted how much you want to do that?
Oh, incredibly. Yeah.
Okay.
The way that inflation is now, there's places in town where an order of wings is $25. I don't have $25 to pay an order of wings, but I shop locally. There's one farmer that I just got the tail end of this year that I'm really excited to work with again in the spring, summer, fall next year, which is the 5th Generation Farms, and the stuff that they had was great. But as well as that, I will also shop local, but local in a different way, not necessarily from the farmers market in town, because that can be pretty prohibitive. I want to be able for someone to get in and out and have a cocktail and a couple plates of food for under $50 so that they can come more often and their money goes further. So instead I usually go to El Safadi in the north end,
nice.
Or Little India in the south, and get pulses and grains from them, things like that are at a lower price than buying from even the big suppliers like Cisco or those places. They sell some of the same things, and it's really great if you're a large restaurant to be able to get them in that easily. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's still part of me going down to the store, seeing what crazy spices that they have that I'm familiar with, how I could use them or incorporate them in a meal differently than they would do traditionally, because I don't want to compete with tradition. They have grandmas that are cooking.
It's a hard thing. Trust me, you never to this day, even because I'm Lebanese, even then when I'm making hummus or anything, I'm this is good, right? Great. I'm now tell me it's better than mom or grandma's. And they're not on your life. And I'm okay, fair enough. I pick my battles.
Yeah.
I get it. So that's good that you kind of end up going everywhere to explore. El Safadi Bros, good shout. That is where I get all my groceries. So wonderful place if you're looking kind of for that Mediterranean end of things. I have to give them a shout because, but it's interesting that you kind of enjoy the experimentation. So I was going to say, what's a Sugar Bowl Shaun special that you created that you were yeah, this is it. This was awesome. And that you enjoyed, and how did it come to be?
On our menu here?
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's always changing. For me, it's the love of the food. But we've got a hummus here. It might not be your grandma's, but it might be a little different. But it brings a lot of those flavors to the public eye in a place that they normally wouldn't get it. Most people aren't as familiar with El Safadi or going down the street and going to Sunbaked Pita. Amazing. They have
these are great shouts, Shaun. I'm very happy.
Yeah,
Continue.
a za'atar pie that's phenomenal, but downtown, finding those ingredients outside of the north, outside of a specific Lebanese restaurant or something like that, you're not going to find them. So it's nice for me to be able to make a hummus here instead of using pita. We make a really delicious focaccia, and then I'll cover that in za'atar, put a little sumac on it, and some preserved lemons, and just kind of bump it up to something that you can't get elsewhere in the city because it's kind of a hybrid of new and old world kind of like flavors together. That one is really good. I'm really happy with that. It's like the perfect rescue food too at like 11:30 at night if you've had a little bit too much to drink and you still want food here at like one.
It's surprising how much like hummus is super helpful and always like you know what, I don't feel like a giant steak, but I'll take some of this and like it'll help cure you. The za'atar also helps, like, if you folks don't know, we actually use it anytime you have heartburn. So if you take a little sprinkle, that's a little secret for you. Just have a little bit of it. It's supposed to help with heartburn naturally without you having to take any kind of, what are those called? Calcium pills? I guess?
Yeah. Tums in there.
Yeah, Tums, exactly. But like, that's an interesting combination. And like, I love that you incorporated like za'atar into it because like, not many folks would have thought to do so. And like, that's like typically like whenever we have a spread, it's like the olive oil, za'atar, hummus, everything. So the combo you have is like not unheard of. But the fact that you merge them all together is very interesting. Any others that like come to mind?
So right now we're also doing like we do a fried garlic scapes and mushrooms, and those come just like really simply fried, so they kind of have that delicious kind of roast garlic taste. And then I make a vegetarian like tom yum sauce for them. Okay. And so the tom yum sauce is like lots of lemongrass, chilies and stuff like that. It goes onto them after we lightly fry them, and then from that we sprinkle on a bunch of black lime. So when you mix the black lime where you'd normally have fresh lime, you get a totally different but similar flavor aspect. And so that's kind of the marriage of like those two cultures from like Thai and like Middle Eastern together, and
oh wow,
like it's so good together.
I mean,
it's
like
really
nice.
Like
look at the smile on his face as he's explaining
this. Yeah, I'm
this.
so
like,
excited to eat it.
Like this is fantastic. I completely believe you. I'm gonna try to bring it back to the little wolf here for a second. I was gonna say I love the rubber hose kind of like art style of the golden age of American animation.
Yeah.
What inspired that? And who kind of helped you create that? Was it you? Was it?
So I had an idea for the space, and I really wanted to call it, like, Little Wolf was one of the first things that came up to me. I'm like, 3 boars? It's moving on.
There
Little
it is,
Wolf.
yeah.
Like, the boars are big in this story,
yeah,
and the wolf is small, and you know, our version. Pharaoh, which if you don't know is also a litter of, like, a litter of piglets. So it continues on in this space, and I really, like, Braden and is still one of my great friends. Brian, who's one of the other owners of the space, is still, you know, a partner of mine, and it's keeping it within that mythology of our own thing. Is
awesome.
Just, I don't know, it just does pay homage, but it's also, I was trying to think of how I would do that, and then after that, I was looking up everything Little Wolf, and I found that there was this like comic series in the 60s and 70s of like a little wolf. He's like the son of the big bad wolf.
Oh wow,
and
that's awesome.
They had like 3 little pigs in it, and I was like, okay, perfect. Like this again plays into it, and I just wanted something simple and fun, and so I reached out to a friend of mine, and he got Keith and Judy, who are some artists in the city. They did like the mural at Wilfred's. They've done some art previously for Brico and stuff like that. And they really helped me bring the image I had in my head to life. And from there, I was just like, yeah, you guys did a great job. And so now we're just kind of sporting it, and it's keeping it, it's grounding us into like a very playful space.
No, and that's wonderful. I mean, like, I know as soon as I was kind of, you know, we like to do our research here sometimes. But I was looking up, and as soon as I opened it up, I was like, that art style is so like interesting. Like it just like immediately made me think like Steamboat Willie, like those kind of classic cartoons. I'm like, and I wonder why like they went with like Little Wolf, right? I'm like, And I know like I think it's on your site you have what is it? Straw. I'm trying to remember the.
Oh yeah, there's for the no reservations.
Yeah,
when I walk in.
That's right.
No sticks, no stones, no straw, no reservations. I think is what it says on there. It was a cute little soundbite, but
because that's the houses that the wolf tried to blow down, right? I'm trying to remember, like nursery rhymes way back when. So no reservations, because this place is always packed and always busy at night, isn't it?
It is, and I mean, it's entirely different like feelings from being upstairs in our dining room to sitting at the bar. And I just wanted a space where people didn't have to worry about that. And I didn't have to worry about it. It was just like an open door kind of policy where you could drop in. And, if a table isn't set up for you upstairs, sitting at the bar for 15 minutes isn't the worst thing. Our bartenders are great and they can make you basically anything. So giving people, 15, 20 minutes to sit down and look at the menu, I want them to have a chance to sit at our bar. Whether they want to or not, I would like just 5 minutes of their time to enjoy it down here, see the bustle that happens, the like lively energy from the kitchen, and then we can see them upstairs when we have a second. So to me, that kind of takes that worry out of people's mind. They're always, we've never refused anyone service yet. So to me, it's just about getting them in the door, having them come in and have them not have to worry about that. And to also be centered around it being like a neighborhood space.
No, and it's always like wonderful. I know like when I came in here, I literally always sat in that corner kind of waiting.
Yeah.
I wish we could show you folks, but thanks to the golden arches, we can't. But in that little kind of corner space, we'd sit there and they'd tell us like, give us a few moments, we're getting kind of things ready, we'll have a table free. And then after a while, it was like, now I'm like married to that space because I'm like, you know what? This isn't so bad. I'm actually very happy to be here, very happy to like enjoy the moment. Rekha's taking some BTS, so thank you, Rekha. But I was going to say, so is this space then available for, oh my God, what is the term to book out?
Book outs.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, actually, we have one tonight.
Oh.
So we will do them like any night of the week is open for that. Our weekends and stuff, like it is a bit more prohibitive for some people. Like if you want to have a birthday for 10 people, we might not be the place just because of the amount we need to generate in an evening. But if it's on one of our days off or something like that, then like, yeah, I'm happy to just get people in. I really believe in the space and the food that we're doing and our hospitality, that I know that if I can get people in here, they come back. We opened our doors a couple of months ago without any fanfare, just literally opened the door. And I've seen people back like 8 times, 10 times since, and that's, once a week people are coming back. And to me, that's my litmus test. I'm like, am I doing an okay job here? I'm like, people are still coming back and they're ordering food and they like what they have. So like, I'm on the right path, I feel like that speaks larger than anything, is just having people come and be like, I want to be back there.
Return and be there.
Yeah.
So then I have to ask, because the Three Boars was what it was, why was the choice of like little to no fanfare? Is it because you wanted to like kind of grow it and not, or was it more because like you didn't want to kind of be like, hey, it was the Three Boars, now this, like, why was the decision that?
So for me, I think it was more the sense of just seeing the way that social media gets now. It is overwhelming for me to see it, but I see a pattern of like places opening, sending out like a huge SOS, and they're like, everybody come down, like all of the Instagrammers and all of the food influencers and stuff like that, come on down, and they get like these crazy couple days, but the staff that work at those places don't know exactly what's going on. They're like, the first time they're being asked for things is like on a super busy night, and someone's like, I need a small spoon, and the server, they have that look in their eyes where they're just like, they're thinking, I don't know where the small spoons are, and they're like, okay. And then they want to go talk to someone else, the bartender, someone asks them, and the bartender's like, I'm busy, you find the spoons. So I wanted from day one for us not to be like that sensational. I don't want to be a piñata where people are like, come down and hit you to see what comes out. Like, I'd prefer not to get hit. I'd prefer that my staff learns what they're doing. We get comfortable in the space together. We are united in our vision of what it feels like to serve people well, and build up rather than start at that handicap where then people are like, well, what did you think of the space? And they're like, wow, I didn't know, no one knew where anything was.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that's their third day open. So like, that's kind of expected. But for me, it was more, I believe that if we had like a slow, strong build and we built a foundation for the space of what we wanted to do, then that would build our clientele without needing to go through that process of probably giving some people like a bad evening because we promoted so hard and it's people's first day working that I didn't want that to be a factor. now we're comfortable. Now we've gone through like extremely busy days. Everybody knows where everything is here, and it's like a pleasure to have those days.
When was the the date that you opened your doors?
Oh gosh, I think it was the first week of September.
Wow.
I believe,
okay.
yeah.
So still super fresh and super new. That's
so far so good.
Fantastic. Yeah. What a wonderful thing. I was gonna say, I wanted to ask you this just because it's always in the back of my head because I watch shows like The Bear and then like Iron Chef and everything. Is it a myth or truth that it is very difficult to get the chef to take a day away from here? Or is Sugar Bowl Shaun always kind of glued here?
So I started also opening only 4 days a week.
Okay.
Because I knew like, you know, on the Mondays I can balance the cash outs. On the Wednesdays I can go get groceries, unless we have a book out or something. I wanted to start in an adjustable way, so exactly that I wouldn't be totally destroyed. And I have like an amazing partner, and I want to like also be like, see, I can do both. Like we can have a great
work-life
time.
balance.
Yeah,
It exists. Yeah,
exactly.
like-
So, but I mean, in the first couple months, of course, it's going to be tough. There's some days when I was learning how to make the bread in the morning. I'd be in here at 10 in the morning receiving orders and would leave at 2 at night if we had like trouble with the cash out, like just sorting it out and it's their first week. So I'm on the tail end of that kind of work balance, but I just hired a second cook, and so with the three of us working in the kitchen now, slowly I'm starting to like get down to like, you know, a 10-hour day or something like that. I truly love it, so it's not a problem for me, but long term, you don't want to be working 14 hours a day. Eventually, you start losing the plot, and you're just like, you can't tell if you've come or gone or what day it is.
Your partners are slipping little letters underneath the
Yeah,
door,
yeah.
like, please, I haven't seen you in like years. And you're like,
Exactly.
yeah, no.
So for me, it's I made sure, but yes, it definitely is like that. It definitely, a start of a place is always going to be hard to do unless you're like backed by a chain that has almost all of the implementation programs in place. You're making those from scratch, and you want to do the best job you possibly can. So you want to be there. You want to be able to see like that last customer, say goodbye to them, the first customer, say hi to them. You know, like those things to me are important to be enthusiastic and make the people that come here feel appreciated.
Nice.
And now we've set the precedent. My staff is just as happy to be here and with me, and so I can leave a little bit earlier some nights. Yeah.
No, it's wonderful, and it's like fantastic that you had said earlier that like the reason you kind of do the fanfare was like, yeah, I agree with you. I have been to some openings for restaurants that were exactly that, and then I get to the front of the line, and they're like, so we don't have like 75% of this because we weren't expecting this many people, and I'm like, so I don't know if I'm gonna have a good time myself. And then the folks taking the orders look like they're having the worst time of their life
they
too.
are.
And
They
I'm like,
are.
so we've made this experience bad for both of us somehow. So I really like admire the fact that like you heavily took that into consideration. You're like, I want my staff to learn. I want the folks to have like, and you're more about like people having a good time. I guess the quality over just like mass quantity. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I want a quantity of people having a great time. That's the highest level of success. But for me, yeah, I want like the individuals are here to be treated like royalty, because they are. I mean, like they're part of the family now. If you like it or not, that's the clubhouse. You know, you can, being at our bar and the energy that's here is so nice to see people turn around and start talking to each other, and then, you know, those established conversations of people who have just met, talking about the movie they're both going to go see at the Garneau, or coming from it and talking about how it was. Like that, to me, such a gregarious space where you feel comfortable enough to do that is the setting I want to provide for people to have some food and drink.
Perfect. And I'll have one last one. I know I'm getting the hand signals already, but like one last one, boss, please.
Please.
I was going to say, how have things been? I know this is a tough question and no one ever likes to hear it, but I always want to know about it. What was the shift like from pandemic to kind of like now? And do you find that like what you're doing where you're trying to bring folks more together, very vital and important now more than ever?
I do, and I mean, I also, the pandemic, one thing that came out of it once everything reopened again, was that there was less things open late, because I think just in general, people were going out less, or they weren't going out as late. It shifted everyone's bedtime a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us in the industry that had not only just spent the last like 6 months more than anyone like locked inside or like in their houses and things like that, the understanding of the necessity of a space for those people to, or anyone who works late, to be able to have a place to just chill out for 5 minutes rather than home, for me was great. I was just like, this needs to be a thing. I was working at La Petite Isa, and that we were well received. It was great to be busy. Some days I'd work from 11 or to 12 till 11 or 12 at night, and that doesn't leave a lot of morning time. So you leave your house, you go to work, and then after work, going home is like, you're just like, especially in the winter in Canada, you're like, oh, okay, well, it was dark both times, and now I am going back home. And I want to go anywhere. I want to just like sit down for a minute. I want to see some life. I want to have a late night Starbucks for me, that kind of space. And so having this place open for that, when I would leave La Petite Isa, and there'd be like, there's got to be something, and there would just be a shawarma place where like there was 2 other guys that were like, going like this in line with me. That's not like, I don't want to be like, cool that you guys have a drink right now and are having some food, but I can't talk to them, or I can't just be in the ambiance of them. So yes, being open late night for me feels really important, a great thing to do, because for me it was so important. And so I just hope that there's other people that were missing it as much as me. So far it's been great. So far we've had a trickle of people when they leave their jobs come in and grab a schnitzel sandwich late at night or something like that, and I'm like, amazing. I feel happy that I can provide that space for them. So yeah, it is important, and since the pandemic, for me to be doing the work that I'm doing, and it has shifted a lot. I hope we can bring back nightlife again, over the next couple of years. But at least having a space that's open for everyone who's like, doesn't want to go home first, wants to come somewhere where they're well received, and there's a bit of socializing and they're enjoyed, then that would be this place, I guess. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Like, I mean, Shaun, you've been more than amazing. Everything you've said, I'm like, I love this place already. It's fantastic. I know it's technically not open right now because we're, doing this, but already I feel like the energy coming off of you is fantastic. Now, I'd be remiss, and I'm sure the mob won't put down the pitchforks, if I don't have you kind of create some things for us so we could showcase it, maybe even try it.
Absolutely.
Are you open to it?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, great. Fantastic. I did it. We'll be right back in about a few minutes. We're here with Chef Shaun.